Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a Husqvarna chainsaw. It is a Husqvarna 350. This chainsaw leaks fuel when it's on its side. When you lay it down on the clutch side, you will come back and almost the entire fuel tank will have emptied out. So I've got the saw here on the bench. I'm going to figure it out and show you what it is and how to fix that. Okay, here it is. I filled up the gas tank earlier. I put it on a cardboard so you would actually see the difference in the fuel. It's harder to see the fuel on the metal table sometimes. But anyway, just tons of fuel leaking out, coming out right here. Usually on these saws and most Husqvarna saws, when they leak on the right-hand side, it's usually the fuel line that is leaking, or it could also be the primer lines as well. So this is what I got to figure out. I've loosened up the cover here. I'll take that off, have a peek in here to see if I can see anything wet with fuel. Here's the fuel line. It goes through this casing and into the fuel tank. I don't see any fuel in there. It's awful dirty though. I'll clean it up here shortly, guys, by the way, so don't worry about that. Anyway, let's have a look deeper inside right here. I'll get a flashlight because I want to show you inside here. This could be the problem right in there. Okay, let's zoom in right here. Right in there. You can see a hose connector in there. Actually, I can see two. Okay, have a look here. I'm going to show you both connectors. So there's one right here. It's a white one. And I believe that's just the vent, this one over here, so it's not leaking from here. But look at this one right there. And I just noticed that there's a fuel line beside it that's not connected to it. And if I even tilt up the saw a bit, you can see the fuel coming out of there. So that line over there, I believe, goes to the primer, the purge bulb. So let me get a hold of that line here. Now, sometimes you can just reach down, snip it if you can at the end and put it back on. But I think I'm just going to replace the entire line here because I can see this will be a problem. And that line snakes up all the way through here. You can see it move right here. First of all, what I'm going to do is actually go air blow, clean this all out with the blowgun, and then come back. Make sure to wear your safety glasses when you do that. Okay, let's get the filter off. I'll get that a little clean too. So this is the line right here. I'm just going to pull it out. There we go. So what I meant earlier by snipping the end is just chopping off a little piece. And only do that if you're stuck. If you have time like I do here, just replace the entire line. But if you're stuck, what you do is you just cut a little bit off. And then after you've snipped it, the part of the hose will go on tighter on the connector. Now here's the fuel line I'm using. Part number 5300 69599. This is a pull-in part number made by Husqvarna. This is some of the best fuel lines, guys. It comes with two sizes of fuel lines in this little package. I'll put a link in the description to where you can buy it online. Now I will grab the line from this kit that has the bigger inside diameter. And I will just measure out a piece here. And I like to always give myself a little extra. I know I did snip a bit off, but I'll give myself just a tiny bit extra here. The good thing about this fuel line is you can stretch it and it doesn't get hard after a while. So even in a year from now, this line will not be rock hard. I gotta be careful not to get some dirt on the line here. Is just run it through here. I'll grab my pliers and just reach in here and connect it to this connector on the primer. Okay, let's connect it right onto here. Now, if you find it's extremely difficult to connect your fuel line to your connectors on your small engines, just heat the end that you're connecting of the fuel line with a heat gun. Just slightly heat it up It'll make the line more pliable and it's going to go on a lot easier. So now I'm just going to run it through the sleeve here. And way down here, you got to line up the sleeve to the hole that goes right through. So I'm a bit off right there. I'll just grab my screwdriver here. Okay, so right here, okay, there we go. Now, if you're wondering what I'm using to cut the fuel line, these are Knipex cutters. There's the part number on them. I made a video on these, but they're crazy expensive, guys. If you do small engines every single day, it's worth the investment. If you don't, then don't bother. Okay, so now all I got to do is connect that line to that little connector in there that I showed you earlier. Okay, this is a bit awkward, guys, doing this. So you kind of want to grab it like this and then flip it over so that you can actually get it on the connector. It might be hard for me to show you when I'm connecting it, but I'll show you after. Okay, I've switched over to a smaller pair of Knipex pliers. Don't worry if you get upset, guys, doing this. This is the kind of little job that might make you say some bad words. I'll just edit them out of the video here, by the way. But yeah, it's not as easy as I make it look sometimes. And earlier I tried removing the 2 bolts here and it was still hard to expand it. I don't like to force this too much because I don't want to break anything else on the saw. I've got it on there nice and tight now. Alright, there you go. You can see the line in there now. There it is. That's the line. That's where it's connected. The other connector there just stays the way it is. So I'll just flip it over now. I'll double check all the fuel in the tank. Lots of fuel. Look at that. It's 3/4 full. And I'm not getting any drips. Totally dry in there. One's a vent, the little white one. So that's what the issue was on this saw. Now what I just noticed here is that the actual fuel line, the black line right here, comes out of the fuel tank. Very hard to see here. So I want to show you another trick for that, because that line's been sitting there for, 10-20 years and it's kind of not as tight in there anymore, and it is dripping a little bit of gas from it. So I'll show you what to do without even having to replace the fuel line. Now all that I do when these fuel lines are leaking a bit where they go into the tank, but the whole fuel line is still good, is I just grab it with pliers and I just pull it out of the tank just a bit, because these fuel lines are quite long inside the fuel tank. So what I've done here is I've pulled the line to where it seals on the tank better. Now the reason I want to show you this is because where I've pulled the fuel line from the tank, you can see like a mark where it was sitting in the tank. It was good when it was new, but after a while it won't seal as well, and you could also get a leak there. That fuel line is nice and solid. All I had to do was pull it out a bit, and now it's making a better seal. So just remember that if you don't have a fuel line in stock, or if the fuel line is still good, just pull it out like that. And then you can just make sure over here that everything's good. Pull it up as well from here, because you're going to have some slack, and then I'll disconnect it from the carburetor, snip it and reconnect it. It'll be a much tighter connection there too. So I'll just disconnect it from the connector here. And I'm going to cut about 1 inch. There's my connector right here. Now it will also go on much tighter on the connector than what it was on. And it's much tighter where it's sealing in the tank as well. And you don't have to worry about shortening your line too much, because on these Husqvarna chainsaws, the fuel line is really long. Lots of room to do what I just did. And now the primer works. Okay, I've left the saw sit here overnight. since I made the video here yesterday. And I'll flip it over here and you can see it's totally dry there. No fuel has leaked here all night with the saw. So it's good. Ready to go. Customer will be happy. And again, guys, thanks for watching. Please comment below and I'll see you in my next video. Have a great day.